Okay, now let's proceed to chapter 6. So chapter 6, maikli lang ito. So for chapter 6, we will be discussing mga business transactions and their analysis. So in this particular video, it's more of a concept discussion lang kasi ngayong Wednesday, I will be giving you classroom activity, no? So doon na yung challenging part, no, regarding business transactions and analysis of these business transactions. But for this particular video lang, let us try to discuss the nature and then we will give examples of business transactions, although yung detailed examples nito will be this coming Wednesday na. Pangalawa naman, we will try to differentiate the types of business documents. Pangatlo, we will try to analyze mga common business transactions using the rules of debit and credit. So, ito nga pala yung steps, no, in the accounting process or in the accounting cycle. So, we have a total of 10 steps. First is the identifying and analyzing. So, ito yung ginagawa natin. First is we have to analyze business transactions ba ito? Accountable ba ito? Or non-accountable transactions? So, kapag accountable transactions, then now we will proceed to the next step. We will now journalize. So, dito sa journalizing, dito na natin alamin ano yung i-debit natin, ano yung i-credit natin. So, sa journalizing, ito mismo yung recording process, no, of the accounting cycle. After journalizing, pangatlo naman is posting. Posting to the ledger. Ito yung magpe-prepare tayo ng mga T accounts, yung na-discuss natin sa chapter 4. And after posting all of the accounts doon sa mga ledgers natin, yung mga accounts na nag-appear sa ledger natin, yun din yung mga accounts na siyang magiging maki-carry over doon sa ating trial balance. Kaya nga yung fourth steps ng ating accounting cycle will be the preparation of unadjusted trial balance. Bakit unadjusted? Kasi there's a tendency na yung mga accounting transactions na nire-record natin may mga mali pa doon, no? Aside from mga errors, meron pa dong mga kailangan nating i-amortize, kailangan nating i-depreciate, tsaka kailangan nating i-adjust. So, after preparing the unadjusted trial balance, kumbaga ito din yung raw na trial balance na pini-prepare natin. Number 5, we will try to adjust na kung ano yung mga mali, hanapin natin yung mga errors, and then we will adjust the trial balance. After we have performed mga adjusting entries, it's the time for us to prepare now the adjusted trial balance. Na yung adjusted trial balance, dyan na yung worksheet na gagawa natin ng trial balance, which will eventually magiging basis for us to prepare now the financial statement. So, alam naman natin yung 5 sets of financial statements. So, ma-prepare lang natin yung financial statements if we already have now our adjusted trial balance. And then, the 8 steps in the accounting cycle is yung mga closing entries. Ginagawa lang yung closing entries at the end of the accounting period ng isang company. And then, yung post-closing trial balance naman, is after closing, it's time for us to prepare the opening balances of the accounts for the next accounting cycle. And the same time, we will do the reversing entries. So these are the major, no, 10 steps in the accounting cycle na siyang gagawin natin every year, every day, yung first 4 parts, yung first 3 parts, no, or the first 3 steps, ginagawa ng accountant yan o ng bookkeeper every day. And the rest of the steps naman ay ginagawa yan every year. Okay? So now, proceed to the next topic is the first steps of the accounting cycle. Yun yung identifying at saka analyzing transactions and events. Grabe na yung discussion natin ito, no? On the previous weeks pa lang, no? We discussed about we have to identify anong klaseng transactions yan. Is it a business transactions or is it a personal transaction? Kapag business transactions, then we will try to identify accountable transactions ba yan or non-accountable transactions. So, siyempre, i-disregard natin yung mga personal transactions. So, only accountable events are recorded. So, okay? So, when we say accountable events, those are that affect the asset, liabilities, equity, income, or expense of the business. Although, merong mga business transactions, pero hindi siya naman accountable events. For example, ito, yung mga board of directors meetings, o kaya naman ay contract signing with clients, contract signing with mga suppliers, so on and so forth. So those are mga business transactions, but it does not have yet an effect dun sa asset, liabilities, equity, income, or expense. And then therefore, at the moment, they are not accountable events. Maliban na lang, if later on, meron na mga transactions involving those parties that affects the asset, liabilities, equity, then that's the time na yung transactions na yon will be considered as accountable events. And then therefore, meron na tayong i-record. Now, dapat, yung accountable events naman are normally identified from source documents. Because, if ma-remember nyo, yung concept about verifiability. So, dapat kung ano yung mga informations na nilalagay natin sa financial statements, dapat verifiable. no? When we say verifiable, merong supporting documents supporting those transactions na ni-record natin sa financial statements. Hindi pwede yung maglalagay ka ng debit diyan at saka credit to record a specific accountable events pero wala namang in history, wala namang nangyari gano'ng transaction. So, hindi pwede 'yan, okay? So, kapag ginawa 'yan ni accountant o ni bookkeeper, so ano yung principle na bina-violate natin? First is the concept of verifiability and at the same time, yung faithful representation. So, ano ba yung faithful representation? Dapat lahat ng mga informations na nilagay natin sa financial statements are true and correct and free from material misstatements or error, right? Now, there are two types of events, external events at saka internal events. Okay? But it doesn't always mean na, I mean, whether external or internal events, present pa rin yung accountable or non-accountable transactions. So when you say external events, ito yung mga transactions that involves the business and another external party. For example is, of course, selling to customers. So that's an external event kasi it involves a third party. Or you will purchase raw materials from your suppliers, then that's an external event. Example of an internal events that do not involve an external party, for example, is the payment of salaries ng mga employees niyo. No? So those are internal events, accountable transactions pa kasi it affects the asset and the expenses of the company. An example of internal events na non-accountable is mga meetings, no? Meetings, board of directors, mga general assembly. So those are mga internal events but non-accountable transactions. So, on the first steps of the accounting process, yun nga, yung journalizing, no? I'm sorry, that's the second step. The first step is identifying and analyzing the business transactions. The second step is journalizing. So, once we have identified accountable transactions yon, we have to analyze ano yung account titles na maapektuhan. The second step is to record those transactions. And anong tawag natin sa libro na kung saan doon natin nare-record yung mga transactions? The first, kumbaga yung tinatawag nating book of first entry journals, no? The general journal. So doon natin ilalagay yung ating o doon natin ginagawa yung journalizing process. So na-discuss natin yan way back sa chapter 5. And then simple and compound journal entries. Na-discuss na din natin to. When we say simple journal entry, isang debit, isang credit lang. Compound journal entry naman, it could be 2 or more debits or 2 or more credits. So basically, that's it for chapter 6. Expect this coming Wednesday, we will have an activity. And very important itong activity nito na gagawin natin this coming Wednesday. Thank you. And that's it.